Okay, so welcome to Safety 1051 or SFTY 1051 Tools and Workplace Techniques. All right, so I'm pretty sure you are quite comfortable with navigating to our class portal, but just in case, I'm going to give it a little bit of a run just to make sure that we're all on the ball when it comes to this. All right, so here is the Fencha Online opening screen, and this is what mine looks like. That's what my screen looks like. And yours are going to look a little bit different. You're going to have the subjects that you're learning displayed. I have the subjects that I'm teaching on a display. All right, so here is our class. I put a little multimeter with a couple of test leads. I think it's kind of recognizable, so you can just click on that. And first thing right off the bat, I'm going to go right to the content here. I'm going to click. And well, before I do that, let me just give you the true picture. I'm going to make myself look like a student. So you're going to get the same thing. So you go to the content, and first entry here, it shows course outline. So I'm just going to quickly click on that. And if you go to the, zoom in a little. If you go to the second window here, here is the course plan. Now, here is our road to success. Or as Dr. Nick says, here is your window to success. Anyways, this is last year's course plan. For the most part, is going to be the same. Just some of those things are going to change because every year the academic calendar is different. Holidays are on different days, and the whole thing just, it's like a spider web. You move one thing, everything else moves a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm just getting a chat line. Yes, I received. I keep receiving them, so they're just rolling in those letters. Okay. All right. So I want you to know the real one that is going to be posted as soon as the administration approves it, and it's just a formality. It will be approved, I think. Okay. So where I put that, the real one that is going to be here, I put it in here is content. Okay. And you're going to see the student items. So that's your thing to click. And once you click, another menu here appears. And I put that, notice I put that updated course plan temporary folder. Once that thing goes into the course outline second window, I'll just remove that one. So when I click on that, here is our real course plan. Okay. And well, this thing is in my way. All right. So this is just logistical stuff on the top, and this fine print you can read. I'll tell you what is really important. Everything is really important, so I encourage you to read the whole thing. But in this course, these are those important notes right here. And the first note says all labs must be attended, performed, and evaluated with a passing grade in order to pass the course. And here's the word and. We're playing with words now. The average evaluation of the 2 tests, 2 quizzes, and the assignments, so all these combined, must reach a passing grade. So if you look at this table right here, labs, all the labs combined are worth 50% of the whole course. Zoom in a little bit. And then everything else, all the evaluation items, all together combined are worth the other 50%. And here is a list of percentages. So if you miss quiz 1, you're going to see how much did I miss? Well, 5% of the whole course. Quiz 2, 5%. Then the assignment is worth 10% of the course. This is going to be, I'm going to ask you to come up with a 1 page, and there will be 3 drawings of three-way switch that I'm going to ask you to perform in a certain way. And then there are tests, test 1 and test 2, and those tests are worth 15% each. So if you add all these, you're going to get 50%, and of course all the labs are worth 50%. There are 5 labs altogether. All right. And the passing grade is 50% minimum. Just so we're clear on that. Over here, if you keep scrolling on that course plan, I have arranged everything by week and by dates. So let's see, today is September 9th. So September 5th to September 9th is week 1. September 5th is Monday. September 9th is Friday. So that's a range. Okay, so week 1, we are during week 1. If you lose your bearings, you can just look at my course plan and match it with the date, and we're going to say, oh, we're on during week 8 right now, and so on. And I have listed all the items that we're going to study, and the tests and the labs. For the most part, it is not going to change. Usually it doesn't, unless there is something that happens, maybe some hurricane comes up and the school is going to be closed for 2 days, so then everything else. But usually those things don't change. Now, you can also see here short week. Week 5 is a short week. So I don't like to put the open labs so early, but I just didn't have any choice. We had to make week 4 and week 5 an open lab because our labs are bi-weekly. So you're going to attend the lab every other week. And there's a lab timetable I'm going to also explain in a second. So if one section misses a lab, in this case, there's going to be 2 sections, then all the other sections for the whole 2 weeks are affected. So open lab here, week 4 and week 5, because it's a short week, it's a study break. So it's Thursday and Friday, there's going to be no school. And all the other days, it's an open lab. What is an open lab? An open lab is it's an occurrence where anybody can join any section. So you can look at the lab schedule and you can join any active section in order to catch up on things. Well, with lab number 1, I assume there's going to be not many people that will have to catch things up, but there's always something. So I'm going to be there. You can come and do your labs. And sometimes I'm going to ask that you send me an email ahead that you're coming and what lab you're doing so I can get ready for you. Okay? But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. That's going to be September 26th to October 7th. That's going to be the 2 weeks. And just by looking at this roadmap here, week 5, it's going to be a quiz just from weeks 1 till 4. And we keep going with the stuff. Our first test is going to be during week 7, and we cover weeks 1 to 6, and so on and so on. Quiz number 2 is going to be week number 11, and test number 2 is going to be during week number 14. There is no final exam for this course, and there is no lab test. You just do your work, and I print the mark for you. I'm not giving you the marks. I'm printing the marks. Treat me as a printer. You are giving yourself the marks. All right. And over here, the evaluation explain again. Um, quizzes, how much it's worth, and so on. So you can look at this table here, or you can also, if you're too lazy to scroll up, you can look at this this stuff here. Final grades will be entered by December 20th. And midterm, where's the midterms? I think I forgot to put that on here, but over here you can see there's one little orange table. Midterm grades are going to be submitted by October 21st, and the final grades will be entered by December 20th. Midterm mark does not affect your final grade. It is just like checking the class temperature for any signs of trouble. So I might send you an email or can contact you if I think that you should maybe step up a little bit, because if you keep going at the rate you are, maybe you can get yourself in trouble of not passing the course. So, but we'll take it one by one on this one here. All right, so that is the course plan. Any questions about that so far? Anyways, you can pipe in anytime if you have a question or send me a chat. I'm constantly trying to see what's on the chat lines here. No, let me just.
I have a question.
Okay.
What time are what are the hours for the open labs? Like what time is that?
Oh, the open labs, the hours are just as the hours that you would have. Okay, maybe I should pull up the lab schedule. That's a good question. It's a good question. I'm glad you asked it. I talk like a politician now. All right, let me just pull up this lab schedule. I have to do it anyways, and this is a good time to do it. Content, again, I'm here logged in as a student. And we go to labs. Under the student items, I'm just going to collapse this. Labs, and in the lab subfolder, there's a subfolder that says lab timetable. And here's a PDF file. You can click on it, you can view it on FOL, or you can just go into that little arrow here and you can download it. All right, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. All right, you're going to have to find out what section you are in. And I do have a list. I posted that, and I'm going to show you. Please, if I forget to show you the list of sections, please remind me, okay? So let's say you are in section 3, right? It will be lab with me. And if you're in section 3, that is the only column that you're interested for now, unless it's an open lab. So you're going to go down that column and go, whoop, until you find something. Here it is. It says lab 1, 1 till 3, and you just go left and you go, oh, it's on Thursday, September 22nd. All right. And there's a dog barking. That's the beauty of doing the online lessons here. All right, so here is the open lab. Once you see the open lab, here, and study break, no lab, these are the dates. So during the open lab, you don't pay attention to the section. You can join any of these sections here, if you can. Do we have to wear long pants for these labs? There is nothing mentioned about long pants. Just don't wear any speedos and it'll be fine. But what you need is the safety boots, you need a hard hat, and you need safety glasses. And a year ago, we had to mention that we need a mask for the COVID protection. But this year, the masks are off. That might change. Who knows? Anything can change. So that I hope, yeah, you can wear shorts if you want to this lab. Well, not for long because cold weather is going to hit. So, you know. All right. So let's say you're in section 5, and let's see. Oh, your first lab is going to be with Mrs. Hashemi, and it's going to be 4 to 6, lab 1, and it is going to be on Wednesday, September 14th. So basically, you're going to look at that and keep going every lab until the uh, end of the term is listed by date, by lab, and by section. Now, sections, I didn't forget. Let's see about the sections. Where are the sections? So again, we are in the entry point of the main page of our class portal. Content, go to student items. I like to click on that here. And I'm going to collapse this just so things are nice and tidy. Okay, see, under the student items, you're going to have subfolders, and here's a sections list. You can click on this, and you can pull up the PDF file again. And here is a list of section 1, list of students, section 2, list of students, and so on. As you know, sometimes things change. Students change classes. They leave. Some people leave. Some people come in. That might change, but this is as of yesterday. Right? You can find your section, but once you're in that section, you're in that section. Right? So, in case you were wondering what section, just wanted to make sure what section you're in. Here are the names, and here are the sections. Okay. All right. Go back. And let's say it's 1:15. Yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good. So this is we covered the lab sections, we covered the lab timetable, we covered the course plan. Now, oh yeah, one more thing. Content, student items. I'm going to collapse that, make it nice and tidy. Lectures and labs. If you click on labs, you see the first lab already. I'm going to click on that, and here's a tool list and the whole thing all explained in details. All right, I'm just going to go back. Hopefully it doesn't kick me out. Okay, good. Again, student items, labs timetable, lectures. If you click on lectures, here you can see all the lecture notes that we will cover today, plus the video that is going to be posted so you can revisit that. So, okay, so we got the course plan. You can download that here. Week 1, tools list. Let's take a look at the tools. So I'm going to, and you can download these, right? And you can keep them on your hard drive, or you can print them and have them in your folder. Do whatever, it's there for you. All the lectures are going to have lectures notes posted. So week 1, let's take a look at the tools. Click on that. Zoom in a little bit. And this is just a basic list of tools that are these tools that I'm requesting you to have to feel comfortable in the class. I made a little green check mark here. All right. So here's check mark and here's a check mark. Where do they go? Oh, you need Robertson number 1 and Robertson number 2, which is the green Robertson and red Robertson. For sure, you're going to need those. All right. So let's take a look at some of the other tools that you might find for the most part. And I'm not sure if you're going to see Torx screwdrivers in your kit, the Milwaukee and the Klein kit. But let's take a look at types of screwdrivers and their footprints. So the first one I listed is a slotted screwdriver because it has a slot right here. Sometimes it is also called a standard. The hard hat I'm going to explain in about 5 minutes. Right? I'm just looking at the chat lines here. All right, so here's a slotted screwdriver, or sometimes it's called a standard screwdriver. Standard because it's been there since probably the world turns. I think that the dinosaurs, when they were on Earth, if they needed to fix something, they would use slotted screwdrivers because that was the only thing that was available in Home Depot at that time. All right, so then we look at something that sometimes it's called a star, or sometimes it's called a Phillips. A Phillips is a brand name. So if you decide to go into screwdriver manufacturing and you produce this kind of a screwdriver with this kind of a footprint, you can't call it Phillips because it's patented name, but you can call it a star. Then we have something that's called Allen footprint, and they look like those hexagon type of a opening there, and there's a footprint of a screwdriver. Mm, Sometimes you can buy those on like a keychain ring, in the shape of candy cane type of like a right angle thing, and you can buy them in metric, and you can buy them in imperial configuration, so in millimeters or in inches. Then there is the Torx screwdriver and its footprint. Torx, they're being used more and more often. I think the reason why this footprint was invented was for machine production, when there will be a robot or a machine producing, putting something together. Those screwdrivers, those type of screws were easy for the machine to grab and operate with. But a lot of things you need to disassemble by hand, and that's what the screwdrivers, they come in all kinds of, like, this is probably the most different sizes that the Torx screwdrivers come up from, huge ones size of my thumb, to the ones that like, for example, I used to work at the cell phone repair business in Burlington some years ago, and a lot of the cell phones would use the Torx screws, and there would be miniature screws, so you would have to use microscope in order to see what you're doing there. They sell hard hats at the bookstore. Oh, somebody says, Martin, thank you. See, they say hard hats at the bookstore for $17.95. There you go. All right, and then there is Robertson, also known as Square. And here's the screwdriver, and here is the footprint. If you buy equipment that was purchased and manufactured and assembled in Canada, most likely you're going to find the Robertson screws in there. If you buy something that was manufactured for the American market, you're going to be mostly you're going to find the Phillips screws. Now, what do we need? As far as Robertson, we need the green Robertson and we need the red Robertson. Green is number 1, Robertson number 1, red is Robertson number 2, and I made a little table here that shows the head size of that. I'm not going to test you on that. And this is also a convenient for your convenience, just so you can see what size of the screws you're going to use these type of screwdrivers. Okay, I'm getting I'm seeing the chat line here. Okay, Rona, Home Depot, Canadian Tire, hardware stores, home hardware, whatever. They sell hard hats. Okay, so Robertson, here is what it looks like. That's the screwdriver head. That is the screw and our screw footprint. Now, when we're talking about slotted screwdriver, that's what it looks like. And I would really discourage you from calling it a flathead screwdriver, because sometimes, for some reason, people on the construction sites or wherever else, they call it, hand me a flathead, I need a flathead screwdriver. Well, they're going to understand. They're going to understand what you're talking about. Mm, but flat head refers to a screw head shape, and the screw head shape is so it's kind of like a conical type of shape. If you drive it into a wood or whatever shape opening, it is designed so the screw head, the top of the screw head, is flush, equal with the surface of whatever you are assembling, and that's why it's called a flat head as opposed to a mushroom head. Okay. So flathead, there's no flathead screwdriver, but there's a slotted screwdriver, and it can be used on flathead screws. Yeah. So there you go. Then there's the Phillips. Okay, so we need check mark here. We need Phillips Robertson number 1, Robertson number 2. You need a green Robbie, and you need a red Robbie. Oh, there's a guy on YouTube that he just hates the name Robbie. Hand me a red Robbie. I've said that a few times. Why not? Uh, then there's Phillips screwdrivers. We need 3 of those to be comfortable in our labs. And here is the Phillips number 1, Phillips number 2, and Phillips number 3, out of which Phillips number 2 is probably the most popular one. 2 and 3. This number 1 is a little bit smaller head. That's what the Phillips screwdriver head looks like. And this is the footprint of a screw, Phillips. And I put a little anatomy of the screwdriver. Here's a tip, here's a shank right here, and here's a handle. Okay, now we're cooking with gas right now. Okay, so here is as far as the slotted screwdrivers, they're being measured in the size of the tip, the length of or the width of the tip. So 3/16 and quarter inch. You should be comfortable if you have these 2 in your stash when you come to lab, right? Check mark here, check mark here. Yes, we need those. Aside from that, we are going to use a lot wire cutters. Get yourself good ones. I know Mr. Hamilton likes Klein. Depends, it's to each your own, to each their own, or whatever that thing is called. Sometimes you have a certain, everybody has we'll talk about ergonomics. Everybody has a different hand, different build. I like the ones that I have, the wire cutters. I have the Knipix ones, right? But the Matrona, and I spent about $50 or $60 buying those, and I bought them about 12 years ago, and I still use them, right? So right? You buy cheap ones, they might hurt your hand with the prolonged use. Plus, you're going to be replacing them way more often. We need wire strippers. These are the simple ones then that's just fine for our class. If you happen to get a job that you're going to do, yeah, you can use Snap-on. You can use whatever suits you, right? This is the simpler one. You're not going to get injured as far as prolonged exposure injury in our class. If you are doing, if you get yourself a job that you do a lot of this, like 8 hours a day for 10 years or so, or maybe more, then you might want to get something more expensive because it's more ergonomic for your hand, and your hand is going to thank you for that. The other thing, tape measure, pretty much standard thing to have. And of course, you are going to, whoa, jumps on me. You are going to, I'm trying to, um, you're going to, in your stash or in your toolbox, you're going to get a lot of permanent markers, pens, pencils, and whatnot. But permanent marker is a good idea to have, especially when we move on to the next semester and you're going to have something that's called a network cabling class with me. Then we're going to use a lot of, and then you just go, oh, another thing, needle nose pliers and a level. Well, needle nose pliers you can just get on your own, and it is part of the kit. Lineman pliers, which are just like needle nose pliers, but they have wider jaws. So that it's not listed here, but it is in the kit. I encourage you to have it, especially when we do the pigtails. Mm, as far as level, it might be included in the kit, might not, but once we get into the pipe bending, I will make some suggestions of what levels to look for. And even if you don't get a level, that's fine too. And this is as far as the tools. Any questions so far? I can see some questions already been asked on the chat lines. I hope I answered them all, but if I didn't, I apologize. Just repost that question. Paramount I can find tip. Mm, when I did this a lot of jobs for about 30 years, I would have both. Sometimes I would prefer the fine tip to make some temporary labels on cables, and sometimes I wanted the regular tip. Yeah, permanent marker fine tip or no? Would that be okay? Yeah. That's fine. All right. So let's close. I just want to make sure that I don't close the Zoom session. Close that. And so we got the tools. Whoa, I closed my, no, we're good. And let's talk about the hard hat for a second. And kaboom, I hope you see it. The hard hat. The hat that is not soft. It is supposed to protect you from objects flying towards your head and trying to break your skull. Simple as that. A little anatomy of a hard hat. That big ball-like thing here that you can probably eat a soup out of that. It's called a shell. That's the main part of the hard hat. Everything else is a dress up. So that little mesh here underneath the hood is called harness. And harness consists of cradle and a headband. Here's a headband, here's a cradle, and that's a harness. And the headband also has a foamy, like a cloth type of foamy cloth wraparound thing, and it basically serves as a sweatband. I would encourage you to rinse that more often than not. Okay, well, you will know. This little rim around that here is called a brim. And depending on what purpose, if people work in environment that there's water coming down from the top, there could be some leaks from the ceiling or whatever, or rain outside, that brim is kind of bent a little bit upwards to serve as like a water spout, so the water doesn't run on your cheeks here. Can we use a red hard hat from the bookstore? Yes, you most definitely can. There are, you can research if you wish. I just decided not to do this, but you can research the colors of the hard hats. sort of like a color codes. Let's say the red hard hats are used by fire crews. The yellow are for just regular construction workers or site workers. The white color hard hats used by supervisors or leadership. The gray ones would be visitors. The green ones would be used by people who are new at the job, so the greenhorns, and was it the brown ones, mostly the welders. And I would say at some with some facilities they do pay attention to those colors, but it doesn't make a difference. But I would say that mostly people don't care. I shouldn't say that, but it's not like they don't care what color. But what the safety officer on any site, what he or she cares about is that you actually have one, and it is up to the standards. For the hat, vented or not vented, either way. I mean, you're not going to wear it that long. Do our hard hats need a chin strap? No, we don't. Here's a chin strap. Thank you for pointing that out. I mentioned that in the morning. We don't need to use chin straps here. Okay. It's just listed here on this picture, just to just for you to know what it is. All right. Now, how to check your hard hat for expiry? Come on, went too far. There you go. How to check your hard hat for expiry date? It's a tricky question. Tricky question. Well, find out how to check the expiry date on hard hats. How do we find that out? What stamps to look for? Where to look for the stamps and information on the hard hats? And here's the key to that tricky question. What's the difference between the manufacture date and the expiry date? Well, manufacture date tells you when whatever you're talking about, whatever objects we deal with, when it was made. Right? And the expiry dates, well, ever bought eggs, milk? Milk has expiry date. Best before, well, before so and so, and so on. I always go to the grocery stores and try to get the ones from the back because they put the ones that are just about to expire at the front. At the front. Hey, so do hard hats have expiry date? They don't. The question to ask is, how long does a hard hat last? And when to replace your hard hat? So that's the questions we're going to try to answer. All right. Every hard hat has an expiry date, also known as a maximum lifespan. And again, we're playing with words. You can't, it is not very practical to put expiry date on a hard hat because then people would stick to it and say, yeah, the hard hat is still good. It's almost falling apart, but it's not expired yet. Yeah. um, so what we have instead, and this is basically what I just said here. I'm not going to read that. Find out when the hard hat was manufactured. So how do we find that? The manufacture date will be stamped onto the hard hat, usually below the brim. Under the peak, usually. Here's the brim, and here's the peak. You turn a hard hat upside down and you look underneath the hood right here under the peak, and you're going to see something like this. Some manufacturers might put it somewhere else, but it's usually, well, it's underneath the hard hat. Okay. How do we read that? Well, we have a dial with 12 months of the year, and we have the year printed here, and we have an arrow. So this one shows 1-3, which is 13, and the 2-0 is basically silent. All right. So if you see 13, that means this hard hat was made in 2013. How do we know 2000? Well, For sure, it's not made in 1913. All right, so it's 2013. And here's an arrow pointing to number 5: January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and so on. This hard hat was made in May of 2013. So now you know when the hard hat was made. That's a useful information. Now, define the shelf life or maximum lifespan of the hard hat. This depends on the make and model of the hard hat, whoever makes it. If you go to just a regular hardware store, some of the salespeople might not know because they're just general help. But if you go to the specialty stores, you're most likely going to find a better choice or bigger choice, wider choice, and you're going to find people that can actually help you with some of the more complex questions. Like, for example, what's the lifespan of this hard hat? Right? There's a complex question. And it used to be all of them you would have 3 years after the manufacturer's date. Now, some manufacturers give a 5-year lifespan. Look at these words. Okay. It's a wording game, word game. They will not say guarantee. Right? There's no 5-year guarantee on that or warranty. They will just mention a lifespan. And we'll get to it, why they mention that. Because they don't want to be liable. It's a lawyer's language here, or lawyer's choice of words. Some manufacturers give 5, some manufacturers give, to be on the safe side, just replace your hard hats no matter what, every 3 years. However, don't expect your hard hat if you're working every day and you're required to work a hard hat. It's not going to last that long, right? However, sometimes it does. So in our example, the manufactured hard hat was the hard hat was manufactured in May 2013. If it had a 5-year lifespan on it, which is a suggested thing to replace, but no later than that, this would expire in May 2018 with that type of a stamp on it. Don't expect your hard hat to last that long. And here's a note: the suspension should be intact and not older than 12 months. That's for full-time use, but no older than 12 months, even if you don't use it. Regardless of the designated lifespan, regardless of that, it's all a wording game. It's funny because I just read a little warranty on some fencing materials from one of the bigger suppliers. I'm not going to mention because it's going to be posted on YouTube. And it was funny warranty on that. The fencing, if you need to return that, it has to be in unused condition, still but there's a warranty. But when you return it, it has to be in just as it was packed, unpacked, and unused. Wow. Okay. And then on top of that, there was a disclaimer that the store has a right to refuse any returns, and they don't have to explain it. But do they have a warranty? Yes. All right. Okay, cool. So regardless of the designated lifespan, it is something that you use for your protection. So if something flies towards your head and it hits you, it hits the hard hat, and the hard hat is going to take the hit instead of your head, right? I like my head, kind of undamaged, and I hope you do too, right? So regardless for the designated lifespan, inspect the hard hat for cracks, dents, and punctures. That's quite obvious, just a quick visual inspection. fading, chalkiness, and discoloration. All right, fading or discoloration, they go kind of together. What's chalkiness? Chalkiness is that the material, the PVC or the plastic or whatever the material is used, gets a little soft to touch, and when you can rub it, some of it is going to end up on your fingers. Lawn chairs are common for that. For example, it feels like chalk, right? So that's, if you see that on your hard hat, please replace it, because it is not structurally sound. Its structure, its integrity is highly compromised, which means you are not getting a full protection. Well, you never get a full protection, but you're not getting the best protection that you can. Loss of flexibility, if it becomes less flexible than it should be, or if it's too much, if it's gone soft on you. And torn, broken, or otherwise damaged webbing components. Now, when do you check that? Once a month, once every 6 months, once a week, every time you use it. So you go for lunch, you put your hard hat somewhere, you come back, you grab it, before you put it on your head, quickly go and check for these. Care and use. Inspect your hard hat. Oh, come on, my mouse. Inspect your hard hat each time you intend to use it or wear it, and throughout the work day. Well, quite obvious here, self-explanatory. Clean with a approved cleaner. For example, our Confidence Plus. That's a cleaning solution. Or if you don't have it, just rub it with with water or mild, no detergent soap with warm water. No harsh chemicals or abrasives should be used. Who would we take the warranty with then? Yeah, that's a that's a good question. Who do we take the warranty with, right? Um, Quite often you're going to find that warranty is a sales thing, just for you to buy the product. Do we really have a warranty? Somebody sells something to someone under a certain company, and they can give you the best lifetime warranty. After the year, they close the company and they reopen a different name. Your warranty is gone. Your lifetime warranty is gone. So, um, yeah. All right. So, no harsh chemicals or abrasives should be used, because they the chemicals can actually compromise the integrity of the material that the shell is made out of. So you think you have a protection, and then something hits you, and oh, I didn't have a protection. I was not protected. So my head got hurt. Oil-based solvents will deteriorate the shell. So don't use gasoline. It's funny that it had to be said, because some people actually use gasoline to clean things because it's a good, it dissolves things. Mind you, it's becoming a very expensive cleaner if you use gas these days, or similar products to remove tar, grease, and other sticky contaminants. Do not use scrapers, knives, or other abrasive tools to remove the debris from your hard hat. Cleaning the headband and webbing, which is basically the harness, in a mild soap and water solution will help to eliminate the buildup of oil and contaminants. So basically, it's comfortable for you to wear. Right? Decorations. Prints. Some are, go back. Right. Some paints, how much? We got 10 minutes, almost done. Some paints will attack and damage the shell materials. This reduces the degree of protection the hard hat provides. Notice I read sometimes. Sometimes I read what's on the screen. Sometimes I explain things, and sometimes I read and stop and explain, depending on what I want to convey and how. That's my style of teaching. The most important thing is that you get the information. Some manufacturers provide imprinting the time of purchase. So if you really want your hard hat to be decorated, talk to the sales outlets, see if they have that service. Try not to decorate your hard hat um, yourself. You know, normally I would just go to put the Christmas ornaments myself on my hard hat if I need to, right? Not the manufacturers, they have the proper inks that won't damage the integrity of the shell. It's all chemistry. You don't know the chemical composure of whatever paint you're putting in on that thing. um, you don't know how it's going to react with time, with the shell. um, they have so the manufacturers can do it for you properly if you really want to. Stickers and decals. Decals are kind of fancy stickers. Some decals might be used as long as they are not metallic. You don't want a metallic things on your hard hat. Things have to do with electricity, maybe. Kind of makes sense. The adhesives aren't damaging to the shells composition and their place. So the ones that are approved, but how do you know if things are approved? If it's written that yes, it's approved or whatever, and there's some CSA label on it or ANSI label, yeah, okay. But are you going to really spend your time trying to see, is this glue from that sticker good for my hard hat? I think personally, I have better things to do with my day. So as a general rule, try to stay away from stickers and decals because you don't know what the chemical composition of that glue that holds that sticker to your hat is. And there comes the safety officer with the hard hat full of stickers. Did I say that? That's how you can tell the safety officer is coming to the site. Anyways, that's funny, right? Classification: Class G, Class E, and Class C. And that is basically printed underneath somewhere on the hard hat. You're going to see E, G, or C, or sometimes you're going to say Class E, Class G, Class C. For the most part, the stuff that you buy in the local hardware store, you're going to see the Class E. It's going to be hard for you to find the other classes. However, sometimes you do. So Class G must withstand 2200 volts for 1 minute. That's a lot. That's a lot of volts. Class E, which is what we need, must withstand 12,000 volts for 3 minutes. I need a volunteer. No, just kidding. All right, so so that's the one for the electrical type of usage. And Class C are not tested for any electrical installation, right? So that's the one we need. And next slide. Come on. I just moved my mouse. There we go. Class types. And I think, come on, go back. During the orientation, somebody asked, we need type 1 or type 2. And I think by mistake, I said type 2, but I meant type 1. So now it's official. We don't need type 2, but type 1 is fine. What is the difference? Type 1 is designed to protect workers from objects and blows that come from above and strike from the top of a helmet. Type 2 is designed to protect from the hits from the sides and front and back. Usually those are required in heavy industrial environment when there's lots of lifts and whatnot, and there are heavy chains swinging left and right, and there's a chance that you might get hit from the side. As an example, right? So these are more expensive hats. And then type 2 hard hats are also tested for off-center penetration resistance for the chin strap. Right? So they are more heavy duty here. Oil rigs, for example, they would require that kind of stuff for sure. In our class, type 1 is just fine. If you get type 2, fine. You can drive Cadillac to school if you want. Nobody stops you. But type 1 is just fine. Also, some people like to wear hard hats backwards because it's cool. Some people need to wear the hard hat backwards because of the type of work that they do. Like, for example, welders. A hard hat can be reversible or not. In order for you to be able to wear your hat backwards, right, you need to see this sign. somewhere underneath your hard hat imprinted. That means you can wear your hard hat backwards and still comply with the safety regulations. And these are some, there's an ANSI, American National Safety Institute or Standards Institute. Uh, there's an example of a sticker. It says type 2. We don't need, but you know what? If you get type 2 in somewhere in this store that you're there and the price is good, why not? Sometimes they just make type, they don't bother with making type 1. And the CSA, that's mostly Canadian Standards or Safety Association, class E for sure. And type 2, that's an example of a sticker that you might find under the hood. And sometimes it is, you're going to find a paper sticker glued to it, or sometimes you're just going to have an imprint in plastic. Okay? And that's pretty much it for today. We got 4 minutes to go. Any questions about what we just talked about, or any other things that you're not clear on? Here's a chance for you to ask. And if nothing comes to your head at this moment, that's fine. You can always send me an email and talk to me or Mrs. Hashemi during the labs sessions. All right. Recommended gloves. No, there's no homework quiz on that. Okay, hold on. Is there a test today? No, no, there's no test. There are only 2 quizzes, and if you just look at the course plan, you're going to know when the quizzes are and what they will cover. Right? We have a YouTube list that you can view all our presentations, and you can, like this one, for example, is going to be posted within 10 minutes from now. You can revisit this if you want. So that's going to be materials for you to study. The attempts, I will explain that. Usually I give you 2 attempts. Recommended gloves. Well, we don't usually wear gloves in our labs. However, when it comes to the pipe bending labs, I would recommend some sort of gloves. And the only reason you're going to use gloves is when you're cutting the pipe with the hacksaw, just so you don't get hurt on the edge of the pipe when you're cutting. So I would recommend you don't have to have them, but if you want, you can just get some gloves just for that. So you're not going to do any jewelry work with those gloves. So anything is good, as long as it's not like they're like wool mittens, you know. All right, how do we tell the size of the screwdriver? The client kit only comes with 1. Bring it to the lab, I'll show you. Okay. Attendance for online classes. Well, I'll tell you this. You paid money, you are welcome to join our class. And you're welcome to partake of all that we have to serve. If you don't attend classes, you don't attend classes. I know how to do this stuff. It's up to you. It's not mandatory, technically, but I will tell you, if you don't attend classes, you're going to have a hard time passing this course. And, we will keep the money. All right. Labs, for sure. All the labs have to be attended, performed, and evaluated. Attendance, yeah. 2 slotted, 1 star, 1 square in the kit. Yeah. Every year I'm interested in the kids. So bring the kids. First time I'm going to see you in the lab. Um, yeah, we're going to see what you have there. Okay. So attendance, I'm just looking at the chats here. If I have a test online, are we allowed to have an hour? My tests, I'll tell you this. My tests are open book online, unlimited time, and you get 2 attempts. And the reason why I get 2 attempts is sometimes when kicks you out, the internet. So if you lose the internet connection, don't log in right away, because you're going to lose the second attempt, and there is no tolerance. There is zero tolerance for that. You get 2 attempts, unlimited time, open book, and I design the questions in such a way you can talk to anyone, you can ask questions, you can Google the answers, whatever. I ask the questions in a way that even though you are doing the test, you're still learning. Okay? And if you think it's woohoo, it's easy, mm, wait till you get my test. I make you look for the answers. Right? It's just in person, I would design the test a little bit different, but online I have to. And you have 2 attempts, but here's a curveball here. The last attempt counts, not the best of 2. Okay? I gotta make it a little bit challenging because it's online and it's open book. There's a second Phillips in the course materials kit though. Okay. Also for the second term, I'm going to ask you to get some miniature screwdrivers, the small slotted screwdriver. Sometimes you get it as a gift, promotional gift from manufacturers, things like that, with the logo, of the company. Yeah, because we're going to terminate some communication screw terminals. Here we're going to terminate electrical screw terminals. So the Robertson 1, 2, Phillips number 2, slotted screwdriver, 1/4 inch or 3/8 is fine. You're going to be quite comfortable with that. And with the labs that I'm posting, I'm going to list the tools that you need to bring for every single lab. So just for your comfort. All right. Now, just as a question, I have a question here. After this, just so I know for the future. So this is Friday. Do you have any other class to go to right after this? No. Okay. So sometimes, no, got it. Got it. I got it. I got it. No, it's no. It's a no. um, mm, did somebody say no? Yeah, because sometimes we might go over like 1 minute or 2. So if you had a class to go to, I would make sure that that I finish the class like 5-10 minutes ahead, so you have some time to. But anyways, my classes are being posted on YouTube, so even if you have to go for some reason, you can still catch it on YouTube. The ending, or if you're late, the beginning. It's I treat you as an adult in one way. So you're responsible for your thing, for what you do. After all the stuff that you get, you are going to carry it out with you out of the school when you leave the school for the last time, and hopefully you're going to come back for more. All right, we're good. We're good, guys. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on Monday. And please take a look at the lab schedule and find out which section you are in. And then you will know when to come for which lab, and what tools to bring. Oh, one thing. There is a list of what we need. There's a PPE, personal protective equipment. Bring a padlock. Okay. The reason for that is that just around the corner from the lab room, there are lockers for us to use. They're temporary lockers. We don't bring the school bags to the room, to the lab room. It's a huge room. It's pretty much almost like a simulated construction site. And there are other classes as well. So if everybody would bring their coats or school bags, things would get messy. Right? So what you do is you bring a padlock. Before you go to class, you just drop your other stuff, the school bag, what you don't need, into that locker, put the padlock on for the time of the class. You just bring your tools and yourself and your hard hat and boots. And then after you're done, you go and grab your stuff, remove the padlock, and take it with you. Right? It's just how we are the client tool bag. Okay, yes, that's the tool. That's the tool. That's your toolbox. Right? Yeah, because you're gonna have it with you. You're gonna grab the tools as you need them. Okay. All right, it's been nice, but it's Friday, and you probably want to go and enjoy the weekend and soak everything in from the first week of school. And I'll see you on Monday. It's been a blast so far. One lesson, and I'll see you. Here's my thing. I will see you when I see you. All right. Thank you, guys. Bye. Thank you.